Black Swan is the new Season Pass card. She's 2 energy, 3 power. On reveal until the end of your next turn, your 1 cost cards cost 0. Alright, so we're going to click the Make Me a Deck button on Black Swan. Assembling an incredible deck. I bet it's not that incredible. It looks okay. So they've suggested a bounce deck where, of course, this looks terrible. Nope. So the idea that they're proposing is you can use Moon Girl to double up your hood, for example. But this just looks pretty bad. So... okay, Black Swan is a new Season Pass card. 2 energy, 3 power. On reveal until the end of your next turn, your 1 cost cards cost 0. So for a player on turn 2, on turn number 3, all of our 1 cost cards cost nothing at all. This is going to be best, in my opinion, with Thanos. It's kind of obvious, but it's true. And therefore, we're going to be building the best Thanos deck possible. Now, if you're thinking, should I pick up Black Swan? Well, obviously, the Season Pass is usually good value for money if you're already spending money in Marvel Snap. But I would definitely say this is a Season Pass card that you can avoid, because already looking at the first card that I put into my Thanos deck, it's Lockjaw. And Black Swan is probably making your Lockjaw worse on average. Okay, admittedly, having those 0 cost stones to put into your Lockjaw is going to be nice. But now Lockjaw is only working once per turn, right? So it's not like you can put the Mind Stone, the Reality Stone, the Time Stone all at once into the Lockjaw and he's going to be spitting out 3 cards. Not quite. So Black Swan is still going to be getting us decent value with Thanos, but I would say that the deck is going to be just as good without her, to be completely honest, or at least there's not going to be too much in it. Professor X is definitely another big advantage, though, of Black Swan. Being able to dump down a bunch of stones on turn 5 into the Professor X lane also means that you're not going to be getting clogged elsewhere. We're going to be playing Devil Dinosaur in this one. Blob, if you have it. Again, if you don't have Blob, you can pretty much replace Blob with just any other big card. Even just something like a Magneto is going to do a very, very solid job. In terms of the other cards we're going to be looking at in a Thanos deck, if you have Jeff, you can't really go too wrong. Interestingly, looking at the data, Psylocke has a very, very high win rate when played in Thanos decks. The highest win rate Thanos decks are often playing both Psylocke and Wave. And I think a big reason for this is if you are missing that green Time Stone, which gives you the energy, you are still able to play a really good card on turn 4. If you play Psylocke on turn number 3, you can play your Devil Dinosaur, your Professor X, your Blue Marvel. Vision is also another good card that we're going to be wanting to consider. This is going to be really good against Storm decks in particular. So I do think that Vision is going to help us out quite a bit. Blue Marvel is often also a serious consideration, of course. I would unironically say that Kang is quite a good option as well in these Thanos decks if you do own him. But of course, most people don't, so we're not going to be putting Kang in the deck. In terms of the 6 cost cards, we are going to be looking at Skaar if you do own it. And then finally, we're going to put Shang-Chi in the mixer as well, because Shang-Chi is getting so much value at the moment. So before Black Swan, this card probably would have been a Blue Marvel. So absolutely, you could still play Blue Marvel. If you're missing Blob or Skaar, Blue Marvel can come into the mixer here. I think just like any other good 6 cost card also would be a serious consideration as well. But I do believe this list that I have in front of you is going to be the best Thanos list. I'm a little bit worried about the Lockjaw value overall, but with Vision and Jeff, these cards can move out of the Lockjaw lane and then we can put bigger stuff in there down the line. So this is going to be the best Black Swan deck, in my opinion, having looked at all the data on Thanos decks. First game, we've got Lockjaw in hand. It's a simple snap, ladies and gents. So the Soul Stone is probably the one we're going to want to be keeping on the board. So let's go ahead and put the Soul Stone down into Wakanda. You'll notice I'm snapping quite aggressively when I have access to Lockjaw. That's just because Lockjaw is the absolute source in this deck. I don't really think you can play a Thanos deck without it. We do find the Black Swan on turn 2. Now, how happy are we about this? Well, it's a nice card to play on curve. It's going to then allow us to play Lockjaw and the Space Stone on turn number 3. So that's pretty decent. It's like a little mini wasp that we've got with the Space Stone here. Can't complain too much, that's for sure. Dagger gets some pretty good value, though. They're off of the Iron Fist. Do we find any other 1-cost cards to throw down this turn? We do. Look at that. Happy day. So Mindscape showing up. The decision really is where should we play the Lockjaw. And I think what we could consider doing, in fact, is we play the Power Stone into the Lockjaw lane and then the Space Stone elsewhere, because then we can move this card that's pulled by Lockjaw out of this Lockjaw lane and then keep trying to find some more Lockjaw value. So actually, Black Swan in the first game, really nice. It did allow us to get like an extra Lockjaw card down. But is it that higher impact that I'm able to play this Power Stone down a turn early? It's not the biggest deal. I mean, it's certainly good. With the fact that Mindscape's shown up, it's probably helped us more than it would on average, right? I think this is like almost the best case scenario for Black Swan. Ooh, and that's why I don't really like playing Shang-Chi in these decks too much. So Shang-Chi, definitely a cuttable card from a Lockjaw deck, but we've gone for it. We'll move the Shang-Chi away and we'll put the wave into the Necroshar. She can disappear and we get another Lockjaw attempt. The Hulkbuster comes through onto Iron Fist. Of course, the Shang-Chi was by far the worst hit there. But now the wave goes and out comes Vision. Vision very nice of Lockjaw, of course, because we can move it into a different location. I think it's pretty obvious we're going to go for the Blob. Skaar and Professor X, both pretty bad cards for our opponent. And I think we'll prioritize the leftmost lane. Then again, they're quite likely to be a Heimdall player, and the Blob doesn't actually move if we have Heimdall, because it cannot be moved. So, of course, Blob now is able to merge cards from your deck until it gains 15 or more power. Now, again, if you don't have Blob, you don't have Skaar. Magneto, definitely an obvious inclusion. The Heimdall comes down early because of Wave. Makes sense. Iron Fist into Necroshar isn't the greatest news for them. Blob gets himself to 15 exactly, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that does mean there's good odds of us finding Thanos off the top here. We find the Time Stone. Of course, we do have the Lockjaw still chilling. Would rather not move the Vision into this lane, so I suppose we're just going to be playing it like this. See if our opponent stays. I would wager they probably do. The Multiple Man and the Vulture. Of course, we could have put some of those mid as well. We draw the Psylocke. The Thanos is found. Skaar goes down to the left, and off to the right, it's just a simple Human Torch, and we do get the 4 cubes. So Black Swan in the first game, again, kind of how I expected. She was decent. She did a job. I didn't have the deck tracker above me, but I don't think she's really that worth it overall. We do also have the Wave on turn 3, which then means we could go for an early Dino. We could go for the double Shang. I think I'm going to snap it. Think we should probably snap it. They skip turn 2 as well, and we have a nice turn 2 play. And again, if you don't have Skaar, don't have Blob, looking at probably Magneto. Blue Marvel's a really good option in this one as well. You don't have to go for Psylocke or Shang-Chi if there's something else you're looking for. So let's get the wave down, I think. So there's going to be, with Bifrost, a whole bunch of slots still to play in Sinister London. So I think it's reasonable to take the wave into Sinister London. A 5 body is still a pretty reasonable body after all. It looks like a Black Knight deck, is the early impression. Of course, with Skaar, we'd rather play something else first. So let's take the old Dino. Fighting for the Raft doesn't seem super reasonable at this moment in time. Looks like they're going to get across the line there with the Bifrost, but we're getting a lot of Bifrost value here. A 0 cost Skaar, in fact. Although it's going to be a little bit more expensive, of course. Once the wave disappears. They get Shang-Chi off the Iron Lad straight onto the Dino. A little bit of a heartbreaker. We, of course, have Shang-Chi off to the right, though, which pretty much wins this lane already for us. So if we can fill up the Bifrost, that means Shang-Chi into Sinister London on the last turn is going to be getting us there. It's a real shame that our other Dino got yeeted, though. Because we would have been able to go Shang-Chi and Skaar on the final turn. In fairness, we could still go for the Shang-Chi this turn. I'm not really sure there's that much we're waiting for. They snap it, though. I mean, in fairness, we don't have to, right? I feel like we're in an okay spot still. Let's stay. We know they have a Shang. I guess that's probably the concern. Unfortunately... Oh, we did manage to dodge it. It was all calculated, ladies and gents. It was all calculated. All right, they do have a Kiera. Pretty intimidating. So the Shang-Chi no longer an option, but we do have a big fat blobber. And with the Jeff, we can dictate exactly where the blobber ends up. So, we want the blobber here, of course. Do we want a blobber to the right? I think we'd rather just solidify the middle, innit? So if we blob a first, it's important to recognize the Power Stone also takes points off Devil Dino. The Space Stone doesn't. They just concede. I think we were going to move the Jeff, but so far so good. I think we were going to move Jeff here. We just, no, we move this Jeff here, and we just blobber, and then we could just maybe play the Power Stone on the Space Stone. All right, game number 3. We've got a pretty good hand, so let's snap it, particularly when we hit this Lockjaw. Similar situation that we want to prioritize playing the Soul Stone as our first card. Now, there is, of course, the option, the idea when we have Black Swan to just hold on to all of the 1-drops. But I think it's probably more reasonable to go for the Soul Stone. It's drawing us a card after all. Interesting with the Psylocke, because if we play Psylocke on 3, we can X very early, but it doesn't really look like that's what we're going to want to do here. So let's take the Psylocke now, which means we can go Lockjaw Reality Stone on 4. So kind of like a mini Black Swan here. Unfortunately, we're going to switch off the Vault. It's the only option we have, unless we just want a Reality Stone Space Throne, but I'm quite happy with Space Throne, I think. So if we hit... Like, if we hit Black Swan here, it's an example of where the card is not going to feel good at all, right? It's a Shang-Chi, which of course doesn't feel great. Need to be careful of Galactus. Second time we've rolled Shang-Chi. Feels kind of bad. Of course, we weren't able to ramp into the Professor X this game either, so it has definitely gone a little bit pear-shaped. Lots of good cards to hit. It's a Reality Stone again, which is not a good card to hit. Does look like we might just take the retreat on this one, honestly. They snap us, I think we can just say that it wasn't meant to be and we go next. Another card that's interesting now with Black Swan as well is... oh, wow. That's a bit of a roll, isn't it? My goodness. Is Sunspot. Sunspot's kind of interesting. Well, it's not looking great for us, I have to say. Death's Domain showing up off the Nico. I think we can pretty much go next. But we'll see. So a well-timed Professor X seems like the best bet here. And I think we just have to kind of pray that they don't go to the right. We're pretty ready to just go into the next game anyway. The Professor X here is just trying to give us something to hold on to. Of course, we can sneak Jeff in there at a later point as well. It's pretty unlikely they play to the right. But I'm not going to snap because it's a risk, first and foremost. But moreover, I'm still not even in that good of a position if the X does go through. It does go through, which is great news for us. Gives us some definite staying power, particularly with a Vision on turn 5 and perhaps a Reality Stone even on turn 6. The X-23 sneaks in. Well, we do have Vision, who can go off to the left. So I think we need to play the Vision. So unfortunately, we're not able to go for the Black Swan. I say that, but we also do have the option of going on the final turn, Reality Stone off to the left. So perhaps what we could try instead is these two. Now, we could, of course, play the Reality Stone, but it's going to cost nothing next turn. I kind of don't like that I'm telling them I have Jeff, though, right, to win the right. But let's try giving it a go. Let's snap them back as well. Let's go bold. What we're trying to do here with our positioning as well, we're intentionally not putting Jeff into Monster Island because I don't want to have initiative. I want the Reality Stone to go through after my opponent has already played their cards so that they're not able to get anything into Death's Domain, whereas I am. And I'm not just able to get anything into Death's Domain. I'm able to get the Blob in there because of the Black Swan here. So Black Swan putting in some work, it seems like. Let's hope they don't have Jeff themselves, of course. So our opponent's going first. So if they try to play anything into Death's Domain, it just gets removed. Of course, we lose to Jeff. We would lose to something like a Mr. Fantastic. It's a null. It's a death. But the Black Swan gets us the 8 cubes. Unless... I almost spoke too soon. Unless something else dodgy showed up like Space Throne. I think we would have been fine either way, right? So the Blob gets to 13. Oh my goodness. The whole of our deck got cleared out and it wasn't even that big, so that's a bit alarming. All right, next game. We're up a lot of cubes so far. Let's try and keep that up. 2 Raptors is kind of fine. We will play the Mind Stone. We'll not play it where the Raptors are, of course. So Mind Stone now just giving us 2 1-cost cards from the deck, but it's only stones that we play. So perhaps like a Skaar version of Thanos as well could be an interesting option. Of course, we're going to prioritize playing the Jeff over all of these stones when we have Black Swan in the deck. We are struggling for a turn 4 kind of play, to be completely fair. Okay, we want to start stacking where the lizard is. That's for sure. And now we hit the Lockjaw. I think it's a pretty reasonable decision to go for the snap, honestly. I suppose the big question is, where should the Lockjaw go? Of course, the Professor X isn't going to be particularly interesting. I think we might just be fine with... Maybe we'll just go with it down the middle. Storm off to the left is rather interesting. So Space Stone off to the left is quite an enticing idea. Then if we roll a big card off of Lockjaw, for example, we're pretty sweet. So we could go Space Stone. We could just wave down the middle, to be fair. Let's try that. Space Stone off to the left, and we're trying to roll one of the big cards here. Devil, Dinosaur, Vision, Skaar, Thanos. And this is kind of my concern with the deck. Shang-Chi, Black Swan, Psylocke. It's all like stuff that's pretty low to the floor. Of course, now doesn't actually matter what we hit. We're not quite getting there. Black Swan would have been an interesting find here because we could have gone like Professor X plus flipping 3 stones. As it is, we've got a decision to make. It's all really about winning this lane to the right. So we could go for this play, of course. Seems a little bit ambitious, though, after we've waved. Of course, the concern about playing Blob is that we're going to get Shang-Chi'd on. And we can't retreat after turn 5, remember, so... It's even possible we might want to consider retreating because of Mount Vesuvius being in the mixer. And of course, I'd love to be able to play something into my Lockjaw lane here, but I'm unable to. I mean, we do have a decent amount of points with the Professor X with the Jeff moving into... I think it might be our best bet because I'm just too worried about Shang-Chi otherwise. Of course, Vision plays around Shang-Chi. This is probably not going to work out too well for us, but let's give it a spin. That's not that many points, and nor is that. Hello. Unfortunately, the Craven is going to get buffed by Jeff moving in. The concern here is Spectrum. Spectrum is going to be buffing Colossus by 2. Colossus and Lizard just kind of seems like it could be some kind of dodgy maneuver from our opponent. So the Craven is getting +2 power, but Jeff is also getting +2. So, or +3. So we're basically 2 points ahead. So Spectrum would tie them. If Spectrum still busts by 2, like I assume she still does, we go Reality Stone and Vision here, I think, with our Lockjaw, of course. Otherwise, the Blob would just be getting pulled back into the deck. I suppose the Blob wouldn't be getting pulled back into the deck if it literally removes everything, but that doesn't seem super likely. So let's try this. We have initiative as well, so if we hit something off Reality Stone like Death's Domain, they're going to get blocked. It looks like Spectrum to me. Danger Room, that could be... Oh, I'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Shang-Chi's a little bit of a bummer. We keep low-rolling the Lockjaw. Come on, Danger Room. Nice, we actually get the W just about. Of course, Danger Room could have let us down there, but it was not. And we're still just doing just about okay. The The Wave, Psylocke, Professor X stuff has helped us out, and Black Swan can also contribute to that. So it does seem like the Professor X Black Swan is like a big advantage of doing this. But maybe the build we currently have just isn't getting enough Lockjaw value on average. Alright, Skaar shows up. A bit of an awkward one. I guess we just play the Time Stone to increase the odds of a bigger card being hit. That's pretty solid. They lose their Annihilus early, which is also very solid. That actually might be snap worthy, to be completely frank. If we play the Psylocke now, it doesn't really achieve anything. We're going to have 4 energy next turn, so... Them losing Annihilus is a big deal, though, that's for sure. I'm not going to snap it, but... Like, the Selene value is pretty huge here. So we can X this turn, that's quite interesting. Perhaps just try our luck with an X straight down the middle. What could possibly go wrong? I don't really see what other options we have here. So Jeff is, of course, the concern now. But they don't have that many spots to the left remaining. I can try a Vision. This feels like an overcommit to the right. This could make sense if they have Jeff, I would say. But... the other thing to consider is Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi would probably be a bit of an issue for us, because they could have Shang-Chi plus a card. But let's see. The main worry I have is Jeff, but we're obviously not going to retreat. I won't snap it either. Nice. We get the 1 cube. Up next, we have the Lockjaw in hand again, so we definitely could consider snapping, but we're giving them a pretty good card. Another Hobgoblin gamer. They're getting either Shang-Chi Vision or Lockjaw from us. That's pretty good. So if we take the Psylocke now, it means I could play Lockjaw plus a stone next turn, but I'm far from guaranteed drawing a stone. I suppose we go for it anyway, to be frank. And just hope that we do, because we're in a bit of a dodgy spot if we don't find a stone. Which unfortunately we don't. Okay, the Widow's Bite is kind of fine-ish, I guess. Well, it's not great, is it? I suppose we Shang-Chi and then just play this down. Of course, we could Shang-Chi elsewhere if we think we're actually going to get Shang-Chi value, but I doubt it. And this way we could find Shang-Chi again later. I mean, I could also reasonably hold on to the Widow's Bite because I can dump it down into Lockjaw next turn. And I kind of think I will do that, actually. I think it's kind of cute. Hold on to the Widow's Bite. Oh, the Shang! Oh, baby. So now the question is, do we snap? Unfortunately, this is getting 0 value. Widow's Bite didn't help that, but... I think we need to be careful of Annihilus, don't we? I can't send the Hobgoblin over because of Annihilus. So let's go for Vision instead. So do I want initiative or do I not want initiative? That is the question. Well, I should definitely be playing Vision here anyway, right? Because of the White Hot Room. That's actually the biggest, most important thing here. My name's Jeff. Not a bad card to find here. Oh, get absolutely dominated. Get completely wrecked. So, of course, Annihilus is a bit of a threat. I guess we still play it like this, though, truth be told. There's no way they stayed. They stayed? I went for the Blob first, which I'm not sure was correct. Perhaps it's better to have gone for the Lockjaw first. Let me know, guys, what you think in the comments. Oh, and the Hobgoblin gets trapped. Cool. I mean, this could have been pretty bad. I should have probably left the white hot room full, right? Because the Hobgoblin could, of course, come back over still. So I guess I got away with that one a little bit by finding the X, but we actually won all 3 locations. Deck is popping off, but the Black Swan, has she really been that higher impact? I don't know if I could say that she has. All right, we have the Black Swan in hand. We're on a huge streak of wins here, which is nice. It just doesn't really feel like, to me, quite that there's enough 1-drops in this one for the Black Swan to be worth it. Of course, we could add in more 1-drops, but I do feel like moving away from Lockjaw Thanos is just not the way to go with Thanos. I'm a huge believer in Lockjaw as a card. I think it's just insane. So we have a decision to make on if we go for the Black Swan here or if we go for Psylocke. And we will go for Black Swan, considering we have a Power Stone available for the next turn. The Professor X can come through and do a job for us. I haven't been impressed with Black Swan so far, I have to say. So after I've recorded this video, and it'll be the next video up on the channel, I am going to build another deck with Black Swan without Thanos, perhaps. And go down more of a lockdown route with Daredevil and Storm and stuff. Because I think she could be quite interesting with that kind of a setup. Now the decision is, do we Professor X hero here? And I think this is a safer bet, simply because they haven't played anything into Aunt May's yet. But then again, their card could move. So if we go here, let's just go here. Because they could play into Aunt May's this turn expecting it to move, and then it gets X'd. Whereas if they do play it into Aunt May's, I think it's moved. That was a big risk, them playing a Wong when it could have gone into nowhere. My goodness. So the question is, do we want Mount Vesuvius? I'm a little bit nervous about what they might have. Wong and Sunspot. It's a curious combo, but I think we might just be preferring to go for it at this point. Yeah, they run. 2 cubes. Could have been a bit more, but the Professor X play was a little bit of a risk, of course. Pretty bad early curve in this one. Pretty lame early curve. Sinister London is nice for us. We could go for a Time Stone into Sinister. This means on turn 3 we'll have 5 energy, so we could go for a Vision early. But then I'm back to turn 4 where I don't even have that much, so I still don't think it's quite snappable. Of course, the turn 3 Vision is nothing to underestimate. Lots of stones, so it does look like Black Swan would be pretty good here. Not a very impressive set of turns for our opponent. We should snap. I could have even considered snapping after the Hulkbuster play, to be honest. It's almost a bot-like play, but surely not this early on in the season. We shouldn't wave because Psylocke allows us to play one of the big boys. We could also play the Space Stone, but we are a little bit short on space. I guess we play the Space Stone and then we just go like Blob Skaar or something. It does seem like a bot, doesn't it? Let's be honest. We find Black Swan. I think we're not interested, truth be told. We do, of course, risk playing pretty heavily into a Shang-Chi with this line, but what are you going to do? So with Thanos, Dino, Professor X, Lockjaw in the deck, the Blob isn't ever going to be too huge, but big enough. So Blob super cuttable in this one as well, of course. It's just always worth going for, isn't it, really? That's not bad at all. Definitely a little bit scared of Shang-Chi, of course. So if we're scared of Shang-Chi, we could also try playing around Shang-Chi to some extent. But I mean, this one's super over, right? Another game, another win. Right, I think I'm going to leave it there. I think you've seen all you need to see from Black Swan in Thanos. Overall, Black Swan so far, based off just Thanos decks alone, seems like a swerve. But I am going to be building some more decks now, and you'll be seeing in the next video some other Black Swan creations, which are maybe better decks. Again, you could go Black Swan, Thanos with Skaar, and go Zoo with Blue Marvel, but I just don't think that it's ever going to be worth dropping Lockjaw in this Lockjaw package. You saw how good this core of the deck is. We can take a look at the final stats. All right, so as you can see, we played 9 games. We won 8, we lost 1. I think the one game we lost was for a single cube as well, so it performed very well. Do I think Black Swan is worth getting based off this deck alone? No. Despite such a high win rate, I really don't. I think the deck would be better without her, with a Blue Marvel or some other high-value Lockjaw target. That's my 2 cents, but I'm definitely going to be checking out more Black Swan, and hopefully you guys check out that video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more. See you very soon. Bye.